Hey, it's Dave from the Redneck Garage. Well, it's like day 4 of rain, so it's killing me out here. But today we've got some testing to do on the heater box. We've got some odds and ends like installing the plug. We've got to put the fan in, ballast resistor. And once we get those in, we can go ahead and install it in the Jeep, which is really a pretty easy process at this point because there's no dash in. And then we're going to be installing this, which is like the skeleton to your dashboard, which allows me to run the wiring harness along the bottom and start to put in some other piece parts. How cool is that? So let's get started. Okay, when you're working on these stupid vacuum motors from Jeep, they're very similar, all of them are, and a Mighty Vac is a great tool to be able to test it. Now, the problem that I've got now, so as I'm going through and testing them, I've got my new used actuator that I bought off of eBay, and I'm applying vacuum, and you can see that it's shot. It was going up and down a little bit before, but there we go. Now it's going down a little bit. But the problem is it's not holding a vacuum. You can see that it's coming back up. And if it's got vacuum on it, it should stay down. So there's a leak in the diaphragm in this thing, which sucks. Now I've got this one here, which is a spare one, and it should work. And if you can see that it goes down, and when I quit pumping, it maintains vacuum and stays down. So this is a good diaphragm. However, the arm's different. So I've got to decide whether I'm going to order a used one off of eBay again, or if I'm going to modify this arm, like weld see if I can weld this arm on the end of this and get it to the right extension length, and it would work. So I'm going to play with that. Okay, I kind of engineered it just for now. I cut this one off down at the base where it had that same angle to it, so I could get it at the same right spot. And then I just taped some electrical tape on with it on there, and then we're going to test it and see what happens. And you can see that the vacuum gauge needle isn't moving, and that's how it should be. So what I'm going to do is I'll probably just epoxy that together. I don't want to put a lot of heat on it like with a welder, because it could damage the rubber diaphragm in here. So we'll probably epoxy that up and then tape it up with some real good tape, and it should be just fine. And then when you let off the vacuum, the door closes. So awesome! That is super, super cool. We got this ready to go. Now I went ahead and ordered a new fan on this because the fan looked kind of sketchy. And the ballast resistor, when I took the plug off, I could tell that it has gotten hot. So when I looked at the plug itself, you can see that the plug is somewhat melted on the end. So we're going to be doing a repair on this. I've ordered a replacement plug, and we're going to wire that in with the new fan motor, and we should be ready to put this baby back together. So that's awesome. Okay, I epoxied the arm, and man, that stuff is rock hard. And then I put a little friction tape over it while it dried, and that stuff's hard. So we'll try it now and see how it works. And there you go. Working great. It's supposed to hold a vacuum, and it does. So using this other vacuum solenoid worked like a champ. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to do is run it through its paces with my vacuum pump hooked up to the main line. Like, let's say the car is running. This one's working. You can see that the actuator's going up. Once it gets to a certain point, it should stop like there and hold vacuum. I'll go to the next one. That one's going up like it's supposed to. This is the defrost vent. And opened up halfway when it's top bottom, and then when you go to full defrost, opens up all the way. So awesome, all of these are working just fine, and I'll shut it down. So super cool, all the actuators are working, and the heater box is ready to put in once I put the new ballast resistor in. That's all I lack. So when you add air, this is the one solenoid that's replaced, and then this green wire or tube comes around here and it connects to the harness right there on the one empty spot. And I'm just wire tying it off so it doesn't get in a bind or anything. And then we'll be ready to go. We're putting this thing in. Holy moly. It's 5 o'clock and it is dark out already. But I got stuff I got to do. So I think I'm going to try to get in the Jeep and set that box in place and see if we can move forward a little bit, make a little progress. It's actually pretty dry. It's not that wet in here. Just got a little bit right there in the thing. But there's my box in the back, and I'm going to try to see if I can set it up in there. And then maybe we can get that metal bracing in for the rest of the dash, and I can continue on with this wiring harness, because without the metal brace, not much I can do. You have to take the vacuum line and run it out through the firewall before you bolt everything up. Okay, she's in. How awesome is that? Got it bolted from the outside. I still got to figure out the ductwork and everything on it, where I took it off. But there's a bolt that goes up underneath here. Everything seems to line up just really, really well. And we're good to go. We can go ahead and start mounting some wiring harness parts and put the bracket in here for the dashboard, which holds part of the wiring harness. Okay, so that's freaking awesome. Next thing is I can start hooking up the ductwork, and then we'll put on the metal piece that goes across for the dash skeleton. Awesome. Here's the defroster, and I took a couple 8mm nuts and put those on there because the factory has like those slip-on nuts, and I didn't have any of those, so just put that on there, and should be able to put the skeleton up in here. It's going to look good. Woo! I know that video is a little bit long, but if you're doing the conversion to put air conditioning in a Jeep, you really kind of needed all those steps. Showing how to test and everything. So, super cool. The airbox has a new fan in it. It's set up with the evaporator. It's got a new heater core in it. Double checked all the lines. Everything's working as far as the actuators go. So it's ready to be installed, and then we can start putting the dash back together. So this is just one step of getting it done. And I am super excited. So we'll be installing this, and then we'll be able to start putting the dash back together, which includes the wiring harness, which is kind of on the outside of this. So, man, it's just one big jigsaw puzzle. If you were doing just a heater core or an evaporator, basically it's the same steps to take it apart and put them in. You just don't have to fool with the actuators, anything like that. That's awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing it start looking more like a Jeep again, like everybody else. I'm Dave from the Redneck Garage. Keep turning wrenches.